How many of you have any idea what Oscar Wilde admired the most in his life? Oscar Wilde, the famous author. Brain staggers your imagination to think about it. But he was once asked who the person was in his life that he admired the most. What do you think his reply was? Oscar Wilde, world-famous author. Oscar, who is the person that you've bumped into in your incredibly prolific romp through your existence? Who's the one that you admire the most? Anybody? His response, he says, my tailor. My tailor, the guy that makes my clothes. Because, you care to hear why? Because he always takes a new measurement of me each time I see him. Now, if that doesn't raise a little hair up on the back of your neck, you're in the right place. Because it definitely will the moment you understand the ramifications of that. Yeah, I love my tailor because each time he sees me, he takes a new measurement of me. How many of us approach our friends and family with that same ethic? Or are we still locking them in to that picture we have of them the last time we had a good old down and out spat? You're still spatting over that. My tailor, because he always takes a new measurement of me each time I see him. How many times in our life have we insisted that someone be sized the same even before we have given them a chance to be measured again? Frequently, our opinions of others is informed by an instant without fully understanding that we cannot see it in its totality. We limit our acceptance of others based on unmet expectations of behavior, as well as pre-existing belief systems and stereotypes. These patterns of evaluation are often taught to us by others and leave no room for diversity or mistake. When our vision is limited to seeing only that what we would prefer, we will tend to evaluate with those same eyes. Each time we subjectively categorize based on our own preconceived standards of sameness and perfection, we subsequently label accordingly. As we do this, we no longer see the individual, but only our definition of them. Did you catch that? Am I really seeing you? Am I really in touch with the essence of what you are? Or am I only seeing what I'm interpreting you to be? Here instead of here. The concept of do unto others reminds us that what we would request from another is no less than what they would request from us. If we could only be, with good grace, be willing to allow our rigid expectations to soften, we would bring into existence an atmosphere that allows for greater flexibility and acceptance. See that? It would be inevitable. Whenever we pound a wedge of separation between our brothers and ourselves, we pound one between God and ourselves as well. Seeing past the differences in each other brings us closer to experiencing the perfection of spirit from which we were each created. An extension of love presents others with the opportunity to not only return our gift, but to share that gift with others along the way. Love is contagious, no matter how it may be expressed. Each time you find yourself holding another to a notion that may no longer serve. Stop, give pause, and measure again. You may find a new relationship waiting in the gap that never was. That happens so many times in our lives. Almost every place we go, there's an opportunity for that phenomenon to be observed and to be responded to in a new way, a way that celebrates the capacity each of us have to take a new measure, to look through eyes that see the grace of each other. The train clanked and rattled through the suburbs of Tokyo. On a drowsy spring afternoon, our car was comparatively empty. Few housewives with their kids in tow. Some old folks going shopping. I gazed absently at the drab houses and the dusty hedgerows. At one station, the doors opened, and suddenly the afternoon quiet was shattered by a man bellowing violent, incomprehensible curses. The man staggered into our car. He wore laborer's clothing, and he was big and drunk and dirty. Screaming, he swung at a woman holding a baby. The blow sent her spinning into the laps of an elderly couple. It was a miracle that the baby was unharmed. Terrified, the couple jumped up and scrambled toward the other end of the car. The laborer aimed a kick at the retreating back of the old woman, but missed as she scuttled to safety. This so enraged the drunk that he grabbed the metal pole in the center of the car and tried to wrench it out of its stanchion. I could see that one of his hands was cut and bleeding. The train lurched ahead, the passengers frozen with fear. I stood up. I was young then, some 20 years ago, and in pretty good shape. I'd been putting in a solid 8 hours of Aikido training nearly every day for the past 3 years. I liked to throw and to grapple. I thought I was tough. The trouble was, my martial skill was untested in actual combat. As students of Aikido, we were not allowed to fight. Aikido, my teacher had said again and again, is the art of reconciliation. Whoever has the mind to fight has broken his connection with the universe. If you try to dominate people, you are already defeated. We study how to resolve conflict, not how to start it. I listened to his words. I tried hard. I even went so far as to cross the street to avoid the chimpera, the pinball punks that hung around the train stations. My forbearance exalted me. Ever been there? I'm so holy. I felt both tough and holy. In my heart, however, I wanted an absolute, a legitimate opportunity whereby I might save the innocent by destroying the guilty. This is it, I said to myself as I got to my feet. People are in danger. If I don't do something fast, somebody will probably get hurt. Seeing me stand up, the drunk recognized a chance to focus his rage. Aha, he roared, a foreigner. You need a lesson in Japanese manners. I held on lightly to the commuter strap overhead and gave him a slow look of disgust. I planned to take this turkey apart, but he had to make the first move. He had to. I wanted him mad, so I pursed my lips and blew him an insolent kiss. All right, he hollered, you're gonna get a lesson. He gathered himself for a rush at me. A fraction of a second before he could move, someone shouted, "Hey!" was kind of ear-splitting. I remember the strangely joyous, lilting quality of it, as though you and a friend had been searching diligently for something, and he had suddenly stumbled upon it. I wheeled to my left. The drunk spun to his right. We both stared down at a little old Japanese man. He must have been well into his 70s. This tiny gentleman, sitting there immaculate in his kimono. He took no notice of me, but beamed delightedly at the laborer, as though he had a most important, most welcome secret to share. Come here. Come here, the old man said in an easy vernacular, beckoning to the drunk. Come here and talk with me. The man followed, as if on a string. He planted his feet belligerently in front of the old gentleman and roared above the clacking wheels, "Why the hell should I talk to you?" The drunk now had his back to me. If his elbow moved so much as a millimeter, I'd drop him in his socks. The old man continued to beam at the laborer. "What you been drinking?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with interest. "I've been drinking sake," the laborer bellowed back, "and it's none of your damn business." Flecks of spittle spattered all over the old man. "Oh, that's wonderful," the old man said. "Absolutely wonderful. You see, I love sake too. Every night, me and my wife, she's 76, you know. We warm up a little bottle of sake and take it out into the garden, and we sit on an old wooden bench. We watch the sun go down, and we look to see how the persimmon tree is doing. My great-grandfather planted that tree, and we worry about whether it will recover from those ice storms we had last winter. Our tree has done better than I expected, though, especially when you consider the poor quality of the soil. It is gratifying to watch when we take our sake and go out to enjoy the evening, even when it rains." He looked up at the laborer, his eyes twinkling. As he struggled to follow the old man's conversation, the drunk's face began to soften. His fists slowly unclenched. "Yeah," he said, "I love sake too. I love persimmons too." His voice trailed off. "Yes," said the old man, smiling, "and I'm sure you have a wonderful wife." "No," replied the laborer, "my wife died." Very gently, swaying with the motion of the train, the big man began to sob. "I don't got no wife. I don't got no home. I don't got no job. I'm so ashamed of myself." Tears rolled down his cheeks. A spasm of despair rippled his body. And now it was my turn. Standing there in my well-scrubbed, youthful innocence, my make the world safe for democracy righteousness, I suddenly felt dirtier than he had ever been. Then the train arrived at my stop. As the doors opened, I heard the old man cluck sympathetically. My, he said, "that is a difficult predicament. Here, sit down and tell me about it." I turned my head for one last look. The laborer was sprawled on the seat, his head in the old man's lap. The old man was softly stroking the filthy matted hair. As the train pulled away, I sat down on a bench. What I had wanted to do with muscle had been accomplished with kind words. I had just seen Aikido tried in combat, and the essence of it was love. I would have to practice the art for a long time with an entirely different spirit. It would be a long time before I could speak about the resolution of combat. Amen, brothers and sisters. Amen to that. And amen to seeing him through different eyes. Same person. Two people experiencing this person and the behaviors in completely different ways. Who's the real one? Fair question. Which one do you want? Which one does your heart prefer? Out of your compassion for the laborer, I got a hunch most of us would pray that he would encounter along his life path a being who saw the real him, the being who saw the truth of him. Yeah. And I pray every day that in our unity walk through life, we remember to take these little lessons in life into account when we're relating to each other. Yeah. We're all doing the best we can with what we got. And that process of awakening is so enhanced when we bump into, now and then, someone who reminds us of who we really are. Children of God, here in the school of life, sharing with each other the very best we know how. Okay? Love you guys. Thanks for putting up with me all these years.